Avatar is about humans going to another planet that is filled with tall blue people in order to mine its resources. The humans use avatars that look like the native people in order to gain their trust. The natives welcome one of them in and teach him everything about themselves. Then they get upset when it blows up in their faces. I would say I feel bad for them, but their decisions are so dumb that I just really don't. It begins in the year 2154 with Jake Sully waking up to a blue light, almost like foreshadowing. He's on a spaceship to some planet called Pandora, and he's only there because his twin brother was supposed to go but got shot in a mugging, except they couldn't even be bothered to use the same actor for these two shots. So what does this have to do with Jake?
And since your genome is identical to his, you could step into his shoes.
Yeah, more on that later. Pandora's atmosphere isn't breathable, so people have to wear oxygen masks, and they pass over this giant mining site. Jake's crippled, by the way, because I guess they need the audience to feel sorry for him or something. But I guess there's some surgery to fix it, but it's too expensive or the insurance won't pay for it. Why is this important? I don't know. All of these military guys are ex-Marines who are hired for security for the mining operation with their giant robot thing that won't be used later and this giant bulldozer that also won't be used later. Then everyone gets a briefing from the head of security, Miles Coleridge, about how everything on Pandora wants to kill them because everything on Pandora is so evil and completely not because the entire security team is a bunch of dicks. Then Jake meets Norman Spellman, a fellow Avatar driver who trained with Jake's brother. Their job is to control these avatars, which are basically synthetic creatures that are a mix of the human and native species of Pandora's DNA, by transferring their consciousness to the avatar's body. I guess we're just gonna accept this and move on, and it only works with the person whose DNA was mixed. The reason Jake can use his brothers is because his DNA is close enough since they were twins. Sure then, next Jake is introduced to Dr. Grace Augustine, the leader of the Avatar program, who acts like an asshole because she's mad his brother isn't there because he died. So she goes to bitch to Parker Selfridge, the CEO of whatever company is mining Pandora, who only cares about making money from Pandora's main resource. And what resource is that exactly?
This is why we're here. Unobtainium.
Seriously? They named their fake resource Unobtainium and expect me to take that seriously. Okay then. Anyway, I guess Earth is dying and this Unobtainium can be used to fix it. But they never explain how, so your guess is as good as mine. Apparently Grace is trying to use the Avatar program to improve relations with the Na'vi, but it's not going well.
Relations with the indigenous are only getting worse.
Yeah, that tends to happen when you use machine guns on them.
Now Jake gets to link with his avatar for the first time, and he immediately knows how to move, stand, walk, and run with his remote body, because I guess someone with zero training with this highly complex and complicated system is just gonna know how to do that, even though everyone else had to have hundreds of hours of training before coming here. I know he's all excited to walk again, but come on, movie. By the way, the Na'vi have these ponytail things that are used to connect to the plants and animals. After that adventure, he meets a pilot named Judy, who's just kind of there for most of the movie. Then he talks to Quaritch, who thinks this whole Avatar program is stupid, but he sees an opportunity to use Jake.
Such a Marine could provide the intel I need, right on the ground.
But why? They're a primitive species who use bows and sticks. There's no war plan they can come up with that can compete with what the humans have there. It's not like the Na'vi are hiding some secret technology. This doesn't make any sense. But Jake agrees for some reason. The next day, Jake, Grace, and Norm go exploring in their avatar bodies. If the point of the avatars is to somewhat blend in and gain the Na'vi's trust, shouldn't they be dressed like the Na'vi and not like humans? And why the hell did they make a big gun for Jake to use if Grace is so strongly against using guns there? But whatever, Jake gets bored while Grace and Norm are gathering samples and wanders off, and starts messing with the plant life like an idiot and runs into this rhino thing. But the rhino runs off once this crappy looking I don't even know what shows up, so he runs and hides under a tree. I know this creature is basically made for the 3D effect and this came out in 2009, but how do you have something look so bad while having the creature next to it look so good? Anyway, he runs some more and jumps off a cliff, so now he's lost and alone. And one of the Na'vi named Natiri is about to shoot him. But then this freaking jellyfish seed happens to land on her arrow, so she decides I guess he's not bad after all and leaves him alone. Meanwhile, Grace's group is looking for him.
He's just gonna have to hang on till morning.
He won't make it till morning.
Wait, what? The avatars are grown in a lab and cost like $1 billion. Are you telling me they don't have any kind of tracking device on these billion-dollar things? That is just stupid. Well, it's night now, and Jake is attacked by these 3D tech hyena things, and he shoves his fire stick at the camera, because this was filmed in 3D. And he's about to die, but Neytiri comes in and saves him. Then she throws his fire into the water, so this movie can show off its beautiful special effects. Then she gets all mad at him for making her kill the 3D tech hyena things. Then Jake tries to convince Neytiri to take him to her village.
No. Go back.
So that's decided, until a bunch of these jellyfish seeds land on him, and then she decides, oh, I guess I can take you to my sacred tree village, which is where Grace has been trying to get to for damn near 2 decades now. So Jake has accomplished more in 18 minutes than Grace has in 18 years. Neytiri's village gets really pissed that she brought him there, and Jake tells them that he used to be a warrior on Earth, so the leaders decide they need to teach Jake their ways, because there's no way that could go wrong. Wow, good thing those stupid jellyfish seeds decided to land on him. Then they go to bed and Jake's back in his real body, and he tells Grace, Quaritch, and Parker everything that happened. Now Parker wants Jake to convince the Na'vi to move the village out of their tree, because it's on top of one of the biggest unobtainium deposits on the planet.
What if they won't go?
I'm betting that they will.
Gee, I wonder what that could mean. Back with the Na'vi, Jake is learning how to ride these horse things, and the Na'vi use the weird ponytails to neurologically bond with the animals. I guess that makes sense, but how does that work with Jake's synthetic body? But anyway, he sucks at it. Back at base, Jake is telling Quaritch about the village tree and its weak points, because you know, there's no way that could go wrong. And the Avatar team is moving to the planet's floating mountains. By the way, this planet has floating mountains, because that makes sense. What the hell is happening in this movie? Then we get introduced to these dragon things because this movie doesn't have enough going on. And after some long-ass montage of Jake learning the ways of the Na'vi, they take him to tame his own dragon, and the one he gets is the one that tries to kill him.
That poop's gone.
Oh my god, I hope so. Then this terrible movie can be over. But he doesn't die, so now he has a dragon that is bonded and loyal to him and only him for the rest of its life. Just keep that in mind for later. Back at the Sky Mountain base, Grace tells Jake about a sacred tree of souls, as if he hadn't been with the Na'vi for like 3 months.
I would die to get samples.
Whoa, let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, Jake goes back to the base to report to Quaritch, who tells him he has finalized the spinal fixing surgery that I completely forgot was even a thing, for giving him intel he needs to defeat these primitive natives in a battle if needed. But Jake wants to go through the Na'vi's final ceremony to officially become one of them first, so he can negotiate them relocating their village, because I'm sure that's gonna go well. At the Na'vi's tree fort, Jake has a ceremony thing, so he's officially one of them now, because there's no way that's gonna go wrong. Then Jake and Neytiri go on their own adventure to the Tree of Voices, where I guess Na'vi go to pray with their ponytail things.
You may choose a woman.
Wait, what the f***? He's an alien in a remote-controlled synthetic body. If they want to teach him their ways and make him one of them, that's one thing, but why the hell would they give him a wife, especially when they know that he's not really a Na'vi? What the hell is going on with this movie? Also, how would that work with his synthetic body? Anyway, Jake chooses Neytiri, even though she's already arranged to be married to Sute, and they, well, you know, because that's gonna go over well. How does that work with Jake's synthetic body? Then the next day, Neytiri gets woken up by this giant bulldozer from earlier plowing through the Trees of Voices, but synthetic Jake doesn't wake up because real Jake isn't in his remote control pod yet. So Neytiri has to drag his lifeless body around while Jake hurries to get ready. So he finally remotes in, realizes what's happening, and tries to stop them. But they just keep going, because I guess Parker doesn't recognize the thing that he spent $1 billion on. So Jake smashes out the cameras, and now they realize it was Jake. Back at the tree fort, the Na'vi decide they're gonna go to war with their sticks and arrows, and they're all pissed that letting Jake in backfired. Well, Quaritch is also pissed, so he just disconnects Grace and Jake and takes them back to base, where Grace explains that everything on Pandora has a neurological connection to each other. But they don't care, and they're gonna blow up the tree fort now. But first, Jake talks evil corporate man into letting him and Grace try to talk the Na'vi out of the tree. So they go there, and Jake confesses that he was working with the humans the whole time. So the Na'vi get upset about something they should have known already and take them captive. They know about humans using synthetic bodies to look like them, and that Jake was one of those things, and they let him in anyway. Seriously, what did they think was gonna happen? Whatever, Quaritch sees what's happening and decides to start shooting at the tree fort. So everyone starts running from the burning building, tree, and Shaman Lady lets Jake and Grace free. Up in her plane, Trudy decides not to shoot at the tree.
I didn't sign up for this.
She kind of did, but okay. Then the pillars break and the tree falls. Wow, that seems symbolic of a real life event. Way to be subtle, movie. Then there's a shot of all the corporate people looking sad about what happened, as if they're not the ones who did this. Oh no, the chief died and Jake got banished. Back at the base, Parker has Grace and Jake disconnected again, and throws them in jail. Why the hell are the Na'vi taking Grace's avatar body? Anyway, Trudy and Max rescue the Avatar gang, and she gets into a helicopter and for some reason starts it. Why didn't she wait until everyone was in so it wouldn't alert Quaritch like it just did until it was too late? So then this asshole kicks open the door which lets the poisonous air in and starts shooting at them. Why are there people just walking around behind him like nothing's going on? Isn't the air supposed to be poisonous or something? Except they get away and oh no, Grace got shot. Then they move the Avatar base to the Tree of Souls. Once they land, Jake goes back to his Avatar body and gets a ride from his dragon thing, and uses it to get a bigger, scarier dragon. Remember what I said about these things being loyal to one person their entire life? What happens to his original one now? But I guess it gets the Na'vi to listen to him. So now they're gonna use the Tree of Souls to transfer Grace's soul into her Avatar body. Wait, what the how? When was this established they could do this? Have they done this before? I don't know why they would. Do they do this with their own people? Apparently not, because they showed one die earlier. Are they just hoping this somehow works? But yet they seem to know how to do it with a chant and everything. This comes out of nowhere and doesn't make any sense. What the actual is going on with this movie? This scene is bullshit. But it doesn't work and she dies. I guess now they're gonna go get all the clans together to fight the Sky People. Meanwhile, Quaritch's security team is planning to attack the Tree of Souls like a bunch of dicks. And Max tells Jake what's going on.
We're going up against gunships with bows and arrows.
Holy crap, did someone finally understand this? Then they start the battle with these giant robots from earlier and a bunch of helicopters. Trudy's there to distract Quaritch, and she just broke their window, but they don't seem to care even though the air is poisonous, and they blow her up. Okay, there's this one point where Neytiri gets shot out of the air, and there's this slow-mo watch everyone die scene from every war movie ever made. Then Sute dies, and I guess it's supposed to be sad, but I just don't care. Then Norm's avatar gets killed, but he's fine, so I guess it wasn't a big deal then. See, now they're just being assholes. Then a bunch of these rhino things and more dragons come out of nowhere just so the Na'vi can start winning. Well, Quaritch has had enough, so oh no, they're gonna drop the bomb, but of course Jake stops it and they crash. Then he blows a hole in Quaritch's plane, but Quaritch just so happens to get in this giant robot thing so he can survive, and have this fight with Jake because I guess this is alien now. During the fight, Quaritch goes after Jake's real body in the remote pod. Wow, good thing he crash landed right next to the Avatar base. So Jake's real body gets exposed to the poisonous air, so now Jake is struggling to stay in his avatar body, and Quaritch is about to kill Jake, but Neytiri shoots him with an arrow. Then she figures out where real Jake is and gives him a respirator. After the battle, they banish all the humans back to Earth, which is dying. But at least some of them get to stay, including Jake, Norm, and Max. But how does that work? Jake has his avatar body that he can use, but Norm's got shot so he can't use his, and Max never had one. And it's not like they can live on the base since Parker's getting sent back and he's obviously not going to send funds to keep it running. Anyway, Jake goes through the bullshit soul transfer ceremony and it works this time. When this movie first came out, people were calling it the best movie ever made, and there were reports of people seeing it like every day in the theater. Some people were even saying they felt depressed after watching it because Pandora was so beautiful. I mean, people went absolutely nuts over this movie, and what I could never understand was why. To me, it was just a bad movie, filled with plot points stolen from other movies and plot conveniences, and the best thing it had going for it was that it looked pretty. The only reason I felt depressed after was because I wasted 2.5 hours of my life watching it. So much of it is either exposition or the movie just showing off the CGI, but it fails its story because it never makes anyone's motivations for what they do clear. I don't understand why most of the stuff in it happens. I mean, Jake goes Pandora because his brother died and the company doesn't want to waste the money they spent on his avatar, I guess. I think his motivation is supposed to be getting approved or at least paying for his spinal surgery. It seems like he doesn't even really care. It's just something he knows can be done. He never gets angry about it or even mentions it after the beginning. And Sam Worthington's performance is so monotone that if that is his motivation, he does a terrible job of showing it. I kept forgetting that was even a thing until Quaritch brought it up again. Honestly, he seems more obsessed with getting Jake that surgery than Jake is. I don't even know why Quaritch wants Jake to gather intel on the Na'vi for him in the first place. It's not like they're technologically advanced at all. They're primitives who use sticks and arrows. I'm pretty sure a military plane isn't gonna have a problem dealing with that. Or why Quaritch wants Jake to make him schematics of their tree fort. They show that they have scans of the land, and we have scanners now that can scan underground. You're telling me we're not gonna have drones that can scan the inside of a tree in 100 years? I also don't understand why Neytiri even brings Jake to her village in the first place, other than because the plot needs her to and these jellyfish seeds landed on him. I know they're supposed to be sacred spirits or something, but even still. And there's no reason for the elders to want to teach Jake their ways. He even tells them that he's a warrior among the humans. You know, those people who invaded their planet, destroyed their land, and are forcibly mining their main resource. Yeah, that seems like a good idea. The only one who sees anything wrong with this is Sute, but he's too much of an asshole to adequately convey this, so no one listens to him. Like, why does Neytiri fall in love with Jake? Is she trying to make her father mad? Does she think he's hot? It's clearly not because of his personality, because he doesn't have one. Seriously, he's such a brick wall, there is nothing interesting about his character. They could have photoshopped a Smurf in there and used archive audio as dialogue, and I wouldn't have known the difference. And speaking of uninteresting characters, what was Quaritch's problem? He's a terrible villain because he's just a dick for no reason. It would have been better if they gave him a reason for hating the Na'vi so much. Like if his son or brother had been killed there and now he hates the Na'vi because he blames them. Or maybe they were responsible for his death. Or he actually cares about Earth dying and he's willing to do anything to save his home planet, even if that means destroying someone else's. But no, he's just an asshole who likes to kill things. I have no idea where the idea that they could use the Tree of Souls to transfer someone's soul into another body came from. No one even mentions this before, but at least they bring it up before the final scene instead of just throwing it in there, so that's something, I guess. I find it weird how manipulative the Na'vi's character designs are. They look close enough to humans that we can relate to them even if they are a completely different species. They're also aesthetically pleasing to look at, with the patterns on their skin and how they almost shine and sparkle in the light and dark. Like, hey, look at these nice looking people, aren't they nice? They even have these big puppy dog eyes and almost cat-like qualities to get all kinds of people to like them, because everyone likes puppies and kittens. The whole thing is almost creepy when you think about it, but I guess they had to make them this way for this movie to work. Because if Alien tried to have this kind of story, I don't think it would work, because those things are scary as hell. Also, how do the Na'vi age? Is it similar to the way the Avatars do? Because those things age into adults in about 6 years, and then don't seem to age at all for 18 years. Oh well, I'm sure they won't make it more confusing in the sequel. And how does half the stuff that Jake does with his Avatar body work if it's a synthetic body? The acting is really hit and miss. Sam Worthington is awful as Jake Sully. He acts like he has no idea how to play this role, and he either seems bored or like he's completely lost as to what's going on, and he has no inflection in his voice at all. Half the time I had no idea how he was supposed to be feeling. Sigourney Weaver gives a great performance as Dr. Grace Augustine. She does her typical sassy tough girl know-it-all, but at least she's believable with it, and she actually seems to know how to act in an all CGI environment. Zoe Saldana is okay as Neytiri. She does this weird accent that I'm not quite sure what she's going for, but she does play an alien, so it kind of makes it work, even if it makes some of her lines sound really bad. At least she seems like she's having fun with the role. Giovanni Ribisi is okay as Peter Selfridge. He plays the typical CEO who only cares about money and nothing else, but there are glimpses that he does care about the Na'vi. But I'm not sure if that was intentional or if he just couldn't find the facial expression he wanted to do in certain scenes. Stephen Lang is good as Miles Quaritch. He does play a good bad guy and knows how to act manipulative to other characters. I feel like he really is trying to do his best for what little he was given. Laz Alonso is one of the best actors as Sute. He does well acting in an all CGI environment, and he does a good job of using the motion capture to show great facial expressions. I can at least tell what his character is feeling. The CGI is fantastic for the most part. This is a beautiful movie with lots of vibrant colors and visually pleasing environments. The plant life in Na'vi look great, like they're almost photorealistic, but there are some creatures that do not hold up to the test of time. Like that big thing that first attacks Jake, or the hyena type creatures. I know they were most likely made for the 3D effect, but they do not look realistic at all. I just don't get how you could have something look so bad in an environment and next to other creatures that look so good. The CGI of the battle scenes are great for the most part. The animation of the tree burning and falling looks real, and they do a good job with the dust and aftermath. The animation of the animals fighting the helicopters and the giant robots look cool and are really well done. This was the first movie to be filmed entirely in 3D, and good god did it almost ruin movies. It seemed like every movie that came out for the next 5 years had to be in 3D whether it was filmed that way or not. From the Avengers to Toy Story to goddamn Saw. Hell, they were even releasing old movies back in theaters with the 3D added. And it was all just so movie studios could justify charging twice as much per ticket. Admittedly, I never saw this movie in 3D, but I did see several in the theater I used to work at, and all it did was give me a headache. I think the best thing that has happened to movies in the past 5 years is that people realized how stupid 3D was. And if the sequel rejuvenates that trend, I'm going to be pissed. Don't forget to do the YouTube stuff, and thanks for watching.